Hello, everyone. Welcome to TD Board Gamers. My name is Dave, and today we start the Defenders wave. Woohoo! So we got the first article, Fear No Evil. This is a villain-centric article, so that's why there's no Dirk. I'm just going to make sure that we're streaming. It looks like we are. Today we start the Defenders wave. Woohoo! All right. So, let me get to the article. Back in November, PAX Unplug talked about the next wave, the Defenders, for 2026. And people have been wanting Daredevil since the beginning of the game because Daredevil was an ally. And we had all the Defenders. We had Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist. They were all allies in the base box. And we're like, well, where's the Defenders? And now, 6 years later, we finally going to get the Defenders wave. So that's amazing. So this is the campaign box, and we're going to get Echo and Daredevil. But this particular article is about the villains in the campaign. So, and they're doing something different this time. So that's pretty cool. So Civil War was a very unique box. And it looks like they're continuing that trend because this box is unique as well. So let's take a look at the Fear No Evil campaign box. Crime is on the rise, and with it are profits. Kingpin. Everyone knows the Avengers and how they save the world on the regular, but for every cosmic threat threatening the planet, there are 6 superpowered criminals threatening the streets. If these day-to-day villains that most often endanger the people, especially when they organize beneath a powerful ringleader. To take on such a dastardly team of criminals, the city needs a team of fearless defenders. Fantasy Flight Games is thrilled to announce Fear No Evil, the next campaign expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. Taking place on the streets of New York City, this campaign sees our heroes take on the city's superpowered criminal underbelly, revolving various crises as they work up to face-to-face confrontation with the man behind it all. This expansion stands out from its peers by having 6 scenarios instead of the usual 5, so that's pretty cool. A Marvel Champions first. And not only that, but 5 of those scenarios can be mixed and matched with different villains from the box to create a unique experience with each playthrough. We'll see how that works. Like past campaign expansions, each of these scenarios can be played individually or in a variable order as part of a larger campaign. This box also kicks off a new wave of playable heroes for the game, beginning with Echo and the long-awaited Daredevil, both of whom come with fully pre-built and ready-to-play decks from the get-go. Today, we're providing a first look at the scenario content for this expansion. We'll go over the heroes in their own dedicated previews in the near future. There's a lot to cover for this box, so without further ado, let's take a look at the story of Fear No Evil. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to get a separate article for Echo and Daredevil. That's usually kind of how it does. We get a villain, campaign article, and then we get then we get Hero 1 and then Hero 2. So hopefully when the Echo and the Daredevil articles drop, Dirk will be available. Dirk's availability has been a little hard to predict lately, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it together, but that's hopefully the plan. But since I am running this solo, if you do join, please comment in the chat, and I'll try to I'll look over there every once in a while, and we can have a conversation. All right, so here's the fan for the cards. So we got Chain Lightning, Rhino, Kingpin, Black Cat, Bullseye. That's probably Electrostatic Charge, Master Key, Change of Venue, Incessant Pursuit, Pedestrians, Shop Proprietor, and Burning Rubber. All right. 5 underlings, 1 Kingpin. As we mentioned above, Fear No Evil breaks new grounds for Marvel Champions by being the game's first campaign expansion to have 6 scenarios instead of the usual 5. Okay, so it looks like we got Now, I'm not familiar with the modern comics because I've kind of stopped reading comics in the 90s. I didn't know there was a female Electro in the normal Marvel universe, but okay. So we got a female Electro, Bullseye. I think that's Typhoid Mary, Purple Man, and Tombstone. I'm pretty sure that's Tombstone. All right, the story of this expansion sees the rise of a new crime spree in New York City, orchestrated by Kingpin and carried out by 5 of his greatest underlings: Bullseye, Electro, Hammerhead, Purple Man, and Typhoid Mary. Okay, so that was Hammerhead. Okay, that's not Tombstone. Hammerhead. Okay. As you may have guessed, each of these 5 underlings can be fought as standalone villains, and each of them is deadly in their own right. All right, so the first villain we got here is Bullseye. This is the stage 1. Scheme of 0, attack of 1, assassin underling. When revealed, set aside the adamantium laced spine. Force interrupt. When Bullseye activates, each of his boost cards gains a boost icon. If this activation is an attack, it gains range. So with range, of course, gets to ignore retaliate. Take Bullseye, for example. The bloodthirsty assassin adds an extra boost icon to every card in his deck, making his attacks a bit stronger and schemes a bit trickier than you would normally expect. This, of course, stacks with amplify icons on cards like Deranged Bloodlust, and it gets even nastier when a card already has several boost icons of its own, such as Unerring Disaster. All right, let's take a look at these cards. We're going to have to make that a little bigger. All right, Deranged Bloodlust. Side scheme. Place an additional threat here equal to Bullseye's stage number. It's got an amplify. And the boost is after this activation, reveal this card. Oh, I don't see the arrows. Oh, darn it. Okay. I wonder if I did it this way. There we go. Okay. We'll do it that way instead. All right, we have Unerring Desire. It's a treachery. When revealed, choose to either give this card to the villain as a face-down boost card or remove a persona support you control from the game. Oh my goodness. If this activation is an attack, it gains overkill. So he definitely does not like minions and apparently persona supports as well. So that could really suck for someone like Ms. Marvel, losing some of her supports. All right. You may have noticed an additional effect on that last card. If you choose not to give Unerring Desire to Bullseye as a boost card, you are forced to remove one of your persona supports from the game. Bullseye is an assassin after all, and he knows how to hit his enemies where it hurts most, their friends and family. Unerring Desire is bad enough, but Bullseye can take things a step further and go after your allies with Raise the Stakes and Incessant Pursuit, gradually wheeling down your forces until it's just you and him left. Bullseye isn't all offense either. After revealing Bullseye's stage 2, he gains access to the adamantium lace spine. For the rest of the game, significantly reduce the amount of damage you can do to him in a single instance. Ugh. You have to either rely on multiple small hits to get anything through or hit him hard enough to flip the attachment to its damaged spine side, giving yourself the opportunity you need to finish the job. All right, so Raise the Stakes is an attachment. It's a condition attached to Bullseye. Force interrupt. When Bullseye attacks, give him one additional boost card for this attack. If this attack defeats a friendly character, remove them and this card from the game. Otherwise, shuffle this card into the encounter deck. If this attack defeats a friendly character, remove them and this card from the game. Oh, okay. So you could sacrifice an ally to get this card removed from the game, which gives him an extra boost card. Okay, all right. Incessant Pursuit. It's condition attached to an ally without Incessant Pursuit attached. Otherwise, this card gains Surge. Force Interrupt. When the villain would attack you, it attacks the attached ally instead. and the attack gains overkill. If this attack defeats attached ally, remove them from the game. All right, so this kind of has the Hercules labor kind of thing to it, with Amadeus Cho. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, again, we're getting allies removed from the game. Ugh. Then we have adamantium lace spine. So this is a permanent, and stage 1 said to set it aside. So I guess when he comes stage 2, he gets this. When Bullseye would take damage, prevent all but 3 of that damage. Place the prevented damage here. Then if there is 6 or more damage here, flip this card. Okay, so it's a temporary shield, I guess. Interesting. And then the damage spine is permanent. After Bullseye schemes, remove 3 damage from here. Then, if there's no damage here, flip this card. So you really want to hit him with a heavy attack. This kind of reminds me of the bell tower tokens, for the Venom scenario. You want to have a bunch of extra ones on there so that you can keep it on this side as long as possible. And okay. Then we got Electro, stage 1. She's a 1 scheme, 1 attack criminal underling. When revealed, find electric charge, attach it to Electro, and place 2 charges per player on it. Force response. After Electro schemes, place 1 charge counter on electric charge. Okay. Bullseye is already a tough customer on his own, and he's just one of the 5 underlings on Kingpin's payroll. Francine Fry, also known as Electro, is another one of those underlings, and her dangerous electrical powers are only matched by her explosive temper. She begins the game with electric charge in play, stacking 2 per player charge counters on it to represent her initial electrical buildup. Electro gains additional boost cards on her attacks by spending charge counters from this attachment, and she adds additional charge counters whenever she schemes or her charging up side scheme is defeated. All right. So electric charge is a permanent. It's a condition. It's an attachment. When Electro attacks, remove 1 charge counter from here and give Electro an additional boost card for this attack, and the attack gains overkill. Ugh. Hero action. You can spend an energy resource or 2 resources of any type to remove 1 charge counter from here. Okay. Charging up. This is her side scheme. Comes in with 6 threat. It's got an amplify. When defeated, place 3 charge counters on electric charge. Thankfully, the heroes are able to remove charge counters from electric charge at the cost of a few resources, and this is definitely something you'll want to do. Dealing with extra boost cards is already bad enough, but if you aren't careful, Electro can devastate your entire team with a burst of chain lightning. The most efficient way to clear charge counters is through the use of the printed energy resource, but holding on to too many of those in your hand can make you susceptible to an energy overload. Even if she can't punish you directly for negating her charge, Electro can always leave your upgrades drained of power, forcing you to make a hard decision on where you spend your extra resources. Okay, so Chain Lightning. It's a treachery. When revealed, for each character you control, choose exhaust that character or deal 1 damage to that character. 3 damage instead if there are any charge counters on electric charge. And then remove 1 charge counter from electric charge. Energy Overload. Another treachery. When revealed, if you have no cards with a printed energy resource... When revealed, if you have no cards with a printed energy resource in your hand, this card gains Surge. Otherwise, for each card with a printed energy resource in your hand, choose discard that card or stun a character you control. Then we got Drained of Power. This is an attachment. It's a condition, uses 3 drain counters. When revealed, attach to your identity and exhaust each upgrade you control. When an upgrade you control would ready, you may spend an energy resource or 2 resources of any type. If you do, you can remove 1 drain counter from here. and you get to ready the upgrade. Otherwise, that upgrade does not ready. Okay. Crime spree. By now, some of you may have noticed that we have yet to reveal a main scheme for either of these villains. That's because neither of them actually has a main scheme of their own. In fact, none of the underling villains in this box do. Instead, each of the scenarios in this expansion, with the exception of the last one, which we'll get to in a moment, exist independently of the villains, and you can mix and match them to your heart's content. Oh, okay. So we're continuing the Civil War ability. That's actually kind of cool. So it's like you got some variety when you keep playing Electro over and over again. You got different schemes. I like it. That's pretty cool. So we got the example here, the getaway, stage 1B. Force interrupt when the round ends. If there is threat here, do each of the following. Place one speed counter here. If alongside is in play, flip it to out front. Otherwise, place one additional speed counter here. And if the stage is complete, the players lose the game. We got 2 threat per player per turn, and it starts with 2 threat per player. And it's 8 cards. So I'm guessing we got the main scheme, and then there's like some treachery cards that go with it. So it's kind of like a module. It'll work similar to a module, except for obviously you have to have a main scheme. But that's interesting. Okay. Huh. I wonder if they'll go into that a little bit more. One of these scenarios is the getaway, which sees you and your fellow heroes engaging in a classic high-speed car chase with the chosen villain. The goal of this scenario is to keep the main scheme clear of threat. Since every bit of threat on it represents distance that the villain pulls ahead of you, in that vein, the villain gets a head start by beginning the scenario out front, which turns all the damage you would deal into threat removal off the main scheme. Clear all the threat off the scheme, and you'll pull up alongside. Oh, it doesn't start with a lot. Interesting. Allowing you to take a few swings at them before they drive away again. Just take care not to get run over in the process. When the round ends, otherwise place one additional speed. Alongside is, huh. Okay, well, let's see what these cards do. Out front, it's an attachment, permanent, attached to the villain. If there is no threat on the main scheme, you're going to flip the card. Attached villain attacks gain range. Force interrupt. When the villain would be dealt any amount of damage, remove that amount of threat from the main scheme instead, ignoring crisis icons. Okay. And then the flip side of out front, there's alongside. Permanent. Each player takes 1 indirect damage. The villain takes 2 damage per player. Huh. Okay. So you're playing bumper cars. I don't know if I want to play bumper cars with a car and being on a motorcycle, but okay. As the scenario progresses, the main scheme will gradually build up speed counters to represent the, speed of the chase. These don't do anything on their own, but much of the rest of the getaway and counter set scales to the number of counters on the main scheme. Okay, here we go. For example, the treachery burning rubber can cost you a lot of resources or place a lot of threat. If there are a lot of speed counters on the main scheme, similarly, pedestrians can force you to slam on the brakes, which only gets rougher the faster you're going. All right, so burning rubber, treachery. When revealed, for each speed counter on the main scheme, choose spend 1 resource of any type or place 1 threat on the main scheme. Oh, wow. Okay. I can definitely, the longer it takes, the worse off you're either dumping your hand or you're allowing the scheme to pop. Interesting. Then we got pedestrians here, which is a treachery. For each speed counter on the main scheme, choose exhausted character control or take 1 indirect damage. There's Iron Fist there slamming on the brakes. Hope you got your seatbelts on. All right, so here's another main scheme. So this is kind of interesting. So yeah, we are following the Civil War mentality a little bit, but it's different because we don't have the resistance and the registration. But these can be with any of the, well, at least the first 5 villains. It sounds like, and I still love the fact that we're getting 6 villains. That's just so cool. A little worried because in the live stream at PAX Unplugged, I thought they said there was like 3 villains. So I'm glad to see that we got more than 3 villains. All right, so stage 1A, and it's very rare that we get a stage 1A in an article. So contents: chosen underling villain. See rulebook page 5. Whatever villain set. So you're throwing all the, obviously. So you pick Electro, you get all her cards. The protection racket set, which is this encounter set, and a standard set, and then 2 modular encounter sets, disasters and tracksuit mafia. Cool, tracksuit mafia, that's awesome. Getting the Hawkeye series vibes, that's kind of fun. Setup: each player chooses a single protection racket main scheme at random in expert mode, places it in their play area, and flips it to side 1B. Set each unused main scheme aside out of play. Oh. So this kind of has like a little Kang feel to it, it sounds like, where everyone has their own scheme. I wonder if you can help each other. That will be interesting. Another scenario you have to deal with is a protection racket threatening New York's local shops. This scenario has multiple crimes going on at once, which means the heroes will have to divide and conquer if they want to bring the chaos to a halt. Each player has their own main scheme to deal with, each one representing a different shop to protect, and they all have certain conditions that add additional threat to them. For example, excess damage while dealing with a bull in a china shop can end up destroying the shop's wares. In a similar fashion, hung out to dry takes place in a cramped laundromat, which means the more combatants are present, the messier it gets. And while it might be tempting to grab something off the shelf to smack your foes with in the pawn shop showdown, you have to remember that that's the shop's inventory. Even beyond the shop itself, you also have to protect the proprietor from getting caught in the crossfire. And if things get especially hectic, you may suddenly find yourself in a change of venue. All right, so bull in a china shop, stage 1B. It's got 10 threat. When excess damage is dealt to an ally in expert mode, or an ally or a minion in this play area, place an equal amount of threat on this scheme. If any main scheme is completed or any player is eliminated, the players lose the game. Okay, this is very similar to Kang because you can see it's not that per player, and we're adding 1 threat per turn. Ooh, but if anyone's scheme is completed, we lose the game. Wow. Okay, so you got to build some strong solo decks in like a multiplayer. Interesting. Hung out to dry. Again, looks like it's 10-1-0 again. Force response: after a character enters play in this play area, deal 1 damage to it and place 1 threat here. If any main scheme is completed or any player is eliminated, players lose the game. Oh, wow. This would really suck for like the Maria recursion. You definitely don't want to play a Maria recursion deck, Dirk, when you got this one out. Pawn shop showdown. Again, it's 10-1-0. Reduce the cost of the first upgrade played into this play area each round by 1. Oh, that's nice. After an attachment or upgrade enters play in this play area, you place a threat here. And then if any main scheme. Okay, so we saw 3 of them. There's probably at least 4, I'm guessing, because you can play up to 4 players. Shop Proprietor, 1 thwart, 1 attack, both with 2 consequential, 3 hit points civilian. When revealed, put the Shop Proprietor into play under your control. This card gains Surge. When this ally leaves play, place 4 threat on the main scheme in your play area. Okay. And then we have a change of venue. Surge. Swap your main scheme with a random set aside main scheme. Place the threat from the previous scheme on the new scheme. And then boost, resolve this card's when revealed. Okay, so that's going to tell me there's going to be at least 5. We can probably tell by the numbers here. So that's 8. That's 6. Yeah, so there's probably 5. That's 4. That's 3. That's 2. Yeah. Yeah, so there's probably 5. All right. Oh, okay. Heroes can still assist each other by thwarting main schemes other than their own, and they'll definitely want to do so, since if any of the main schemes complete, or if any hero is defeated, the players lose the game. Okay, so that answered my question. Okay, any game effect on a card you resolve that refers to the main scheme specifically will only work on your own main scheme, but any effects that target a scheme will still work on any main scheme. This means you'll have to be strategic about what thwarting abilities you use and when you use them, and depending on what encounter cards each player has to resolve. You might find one person's main scheme building up threat faster than another's. Thankfully, anytime an enemy schemes, including both the villain and their minions, they only add threat to the main scheme of the player they're activating against, which means you still have a fighting chance even if things take a turn for the worse. All right. Then we got another scenario, the Raft Breakout. It's 11 threat per player threshold. Starts with 2 threat per player, adds 1 threat per player per turn. Each minion gains, when defeated, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. 2 threat instead if the minion is elite. All right. Speaking of fighting, the last of these interchangeable scenarios that we'll show you today is the Raft Breakout. As you might have guessed from its name, the scenario revolves around a mass breakout from the SHIELD Supermax prison, the Raft. This prison is chock full of enemies that you took down in previous Marvel Champion campaign expansions, and they're all itching for a chance at some payback. First up is our old friend Rhino from the Marvel Champions core set. As strong and tough as ever, Rhino's ready to do more breaking than taking this time, and his attack hurts. Hailing from Sinister Motive is the dangerously crafty Mysterio, whose illusions will dish you extra encounter cards for as long as he's outside of his cell. Jumping ahead to a more recent foe, we have Baron Zemo from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who cunningly manipulates your allies into turning against you. These are just 3 of the 6 elite minions in this scenario pits you against, and that's not even taking the villain's own encounter set into account. Assisted by the Master Key, which is attached to the villain during setup, you're going to have to fend off an unrelenting torrent of escaped convicts if you want any chance of quelling the chaos at the Raft. Alright, so Rhino. 1 scheme, 3 attacks, 7 hit points. Brute, elite prisoner. He's tough, villainous. His attacks gain overkill. And if it's a boost, give the activating enemy a tough status card. And it's a boost with 3 boost icons as well. Yuck. Mysterio, 2 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points. Criminal, elite prisoner. He's villainous. After Mysterio attacks you, deal each of that activation's boost cards that is a treachery to yourself as a face down encounter card. Ugh. Wow. Okay, that's annoying. Baron Zemo, 2 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points. Elite Hydra prisoner, villainous. Treat each ally with threat on it as a deceived minion with a blank text box. Its scheme is equal to its base thwart and does not take consequential damage. When revealed, place one threat on an ally without threat on it. It engages its controller. Okay. Master Key, attached to the villain, permanent. Forced response. After the villain schemes against you, deal each of the activation's boost cards that is a minion to yourself as a face down boost or face down encounter card. And there's the man himself, the man behind it all. Finally, we have one. Finally, we have the one responsible for the surge in crime in New York, Kingpin. So Kingpin A1, 2 scheme, asterisk for an attack, stalwart. Kingpin cannot be dealt damage or have upgrades attached. The players must garner public support to face him directly. And when Kingpin would attack you, he schemes instead. And he's got 25 hit points per player. Wow. A2, 2 scheme, 2 attack, criminal martial art. Oh, interesting. So he's a martial artist. He's steady. When Kingpin activates against you, if you are not engaged with a minion, give Kingpin 1 additional boost card for this activation. As the final boss of this expansion, Kingpin scenarios break conventions in a few different ways. A master of manipulation with unending influence and connections. Kingpin starts the scenario off by immediately calling in each player's set-aside nemesis minion. Oh, wow. You read that right. From the very first turn of the fight, you'll be dealing with not only Kingpin's schemes, but your worst enemy fighting alongside him. There's no standard set used in Kingpin's scenario. Oh. Okay. Instead, cards from his own encounter set can bring more of your nemesis cards into play. For example, Kingpin's influence can bring your nemesis side scheme, while Bag of Tricks can gradually reveal the rest of the set. All right, Kingpin's influence. When defeated, the player defeats the scheme, places 3 threat on their nemesis side scheme. If it's not in play, find it and reveal it. And it has a hazard, and it comes in with 2 threat per player. Bag of Tricks. Oh, hey, we got Block Jack O'Hare. When revealed, reveal a random card from your set-aside nemesis set. If no card is revealed this way, this card gains Surge. Boost. Give this character a random card from your set-aside nemesis set as an additional boost card. Okay, that's pretty fun. And kind of reminds me of the Con of Heroes. I think it was a new standard. I think it was the first year. Interesting. But what's really interesting is you don't add a standard set. I guess that's because they want to slowly bring your nemesis set in. That's why they took the standard set out, I guess. All right. As if dealing with your nemesis wasn't bad enough, Kingpin himself can't even be touched. If you want to be able to bring the big boss down, you'll have to garner public support. The citizens of New York have had it with this crime spree, and if you take down enough of Kingpin's minions, then the people will have your backs in the final fight. Get public support flipped to its high side, and you'll cause Kingpin to flip as well, letting you finally take him on directly and bring it into his schemes. That's kind of interesting, because this kind of reminds me of, Daredevil Fear No Evil season. Well, we're in the middle of Daredevil Daredevil, whatever the series is called. I can't remember. Born Again. Yeah, Daredevil Born Again. And we're on season 2 right now. And Kingpin's the mayor. And everyone thinks he's so great. So you got to turn public support against him. So this is like kind of really good timing of this announcement. Public support currently is low. It's an environment. After a minion is defeated, place 1 support counter here. Force interrupt. When the villain phase begins, if there is at least 2 per player plus 2 support counters here, flip Kingpin and advance the main scheme to stage 2A. then flip this card. Okay, so in a 2-player game, which is what Dirk and I usually play the most, that would have, we would need 6 support counters. And then we got public support high. When an enemy would be given a face down boost card, remove 1 per player support counters from here instead. Forced response. After a minion is defeated, place 1 support counter here. Alright. So there must be some treacheries based on the number of supports or cards or something. I figured once you're on the high side, who cares? But there might be a way to get back to the low side, maybe. All right, and then we got a couple attachments here. Bear Hug. If Kingpin has a martial artist trait, which he does in stage A2, we attach this to the hero, otherwise card gains surge. Uses 3 grip counters. Cannot change to alter ego. When you would thwart or attack, you remove a grip counter from here instead. Oh, wow. So that's sort of a super strong webbed up. Huh. Then we got Kingpin's Cane, +1 attack. It's a weapon. When revealed, attached to Kingpin, you are stunned. After Kingpin attacks and damages a hero, stun that hero. If a hero is stunned this way, discard. And as a boost, you are stunned. And if you're already stunned, take a damage. Of course, Kingpin's not going to just sit there idly. Armed with his bear hugs, his cane, and his mountain of muscles, Fisk is more than happy to demonstrate why he is the man to be feared. Even once you've dealt with your nemesis minion, Kingpin still has plenty of other underlings on his payroll, such as the tricky Spot, the reluctant Black Cat. At least in Black Cat's case, with some careful convincing, you can have her join your side as an ally. Just keep in mind that her villainous keywords will still work even when she's on your side. This is due to a rule change that Fear No Evil introduces for the villainous keyword, allowing it to work with friendly characters as well. One has to wonder why we did that. Spot. Alright, so Spot. It's a minion, 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit points, criminal underling. Enters play with 1 spot counter on him. Force interrupt. 1 spot would be dealt damage from an attack if there's at least 1 spot counter here. Remove 1 spot counter from here and deal that damage to the attacker instead. Otherwise, place 1 spot counter here. Ugh. So you do you gotta be careful with the Hone Technique dive bomb. Black Cat, 1 scheme / thwart, 1 attack, thief, underling, villainous. While there is 4 threat here, treat Black Cat as an ally that takes 2 consequential damage after she attacks or thwarts. Hero action. You can spend a mental resource to place 1 threat here. If there is at least 4 threat here, take control of Black Cat as an ally. Okay. Right. Heroic Defenders. As with all campaign expansions, Fear No Evil marks the beginning of a new wave of playable heroes. Since today's article is focusing on the scenario content for the box, in the coming weeks we'll preview the 2 heroes that come in this box, Echo and Daredevil. Oops, wrong mouse. Okay. And like I said, people have been wanting Daredevil since the beginning of the game, so that's cool. The talented martial artist Echo enters the fray with a pre-built protection deck, okay, and her playstyle revolves around mimicking the techniques of her allies and fellow heroes. Meanwhile, the long-anticipated Daredevil joins the battle with a pre-built Justice deck alongside a special Sense deck that lets him double up on his actions. Both of these heroes are core members of the Defenders, and we'll be seeing the rest of the team join in the months to come. We first teased the hero packs for Fear No Evil wave back in November during our in-flight report. In case you need a refresher, the remaining heroes of this wave are Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Elektra, and Iron Fist. Cool, cool, cool. We'll share more details of each of these heroes, plus the Shadowland scenario pack that we also teased in the in-flight report on a later date. So stay tuned. See no evil, hear no evil. Crime is on the rise in New York City, and Kingpin and his underlings are to blame. Can you put a stop to all the chaos and restore peace to the Big Apple? Take on Kingpin and his criminal underworlds when Fear No Evil arrives in July. You can pre-order your own copy of Fear No Evil at your local retailer or online through our web store today. We gotta wait till July? Ugh. Well, that's like there's kind of a pretty big gap then between Hercules and Wonder Man and this product, but oh well. Yeah, because that came in February. Yeah, let's look at the store here real quick. So July 24th. All right. And we already saw the villains. They mentioned all the villains. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. And I know they announced all the villains. They announced all the heroes and stuff. So there's like no surprises, I guess. But I'm okay with that. I actually like having the information. I was really happy with the in-flight report. So we're getting the Defender wave, which is cool. We're getting 6 Defenders. We're back to the. I was gonna say we're back to the standard 5 villains, 6 heroes, but we're actually 6 villains, 6 heroes, plus whatever villains show up in the scenario pack. So yeah, that is really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to this product. And for those that are following the current format, uh, this wave would get added to the current format, and then I suspect in December, Age of Apocalypse will drop off. Um, the first product is in July, August, September, November. So I'm guessing 2 of the hero packs will show up in September, and then either the other 2 hero packs or the scenario will show up in November. Usually December is sort of a dead month. So I'm guessing it would be February of 2027, which would be either the scenario or the other 2 hero packs. Yeah. And I like the idea that we've got interchangeable villains. So it kind of reminds me of the what are those guys? The Hellions? The one during the X-Men wave or X-Force wave where we got to swap the villains out and they were good for 2 scenarios. The Hellions, I think it was the Hellions. Um, Come on. Oh, dang it. Yeah, I think it was during Next Evolution, wasn't it? Marauders. That's what it was. The Marauders. Yeah, so it's kind of similar to that, except for each villain has their own set, and it works with 5 scenarios instead of just 2. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Well, oh, we got a comment from somebody. Interchangeable looks like a step up from Civil War for sure. Having a mod set attached instead of just the main scheme. Yeah, yeah. I think I agree with that. Civil War, I think, was kind of like maybe testing the waters of that. And yeah, this that I think this is a very cool concept of being able to mix and match because we got 5 scenarios, we got 5 villains, so that's what 25 different combinations with just that. If we, yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. And then Kingpin's where he doesn't have the standard set. That kind of, I'm hoping it's fleshed out more than say like the Wrecking Crew because that was one of the things I didn't like about the Wrecking Crew was how it wasn't, you know, interchangeable at all. So I'm assuming they just removed the standard set because of the way they want to manipulate with your Nemesis set. So, and since he's the big bad of the campaign, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it a pushover. And from what I understand, from go back to the article, uh, 5 of those stairs we mixed and match, and so I'm assuming you deal with the 5 villains first. Um, and then you would take on Kingpin. So, because it said it was a campaign. So, unlike Civil War, which was not a campaign, so we're back to the campaign, which I really like because I like the connected story. I think that's cool. And I am kind of curious how the comic is going to be, because you could have Electro with the car chase, maybe, and then you have Bullseye with the protection racket. One group does that, but then the other group does the reverse. So it'd be kind of cool if it was like a choose your own adventure or something. The comic. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that, or they just kind of did like Civil War and just have spell out the story. I think it'd be fun if they did a choose your own adventure, but that's probably take up too many pages and be not the main focus of the product. So it'd be like a lot of work for something that a lot of people probably only use once. So we'll see. But yeah, so this is coming in July, so that's cool. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the female Electro, and I mean I've heard of Typhoid Mary, but I never read any comics with her. Hammerhead, I think I've only done a couple comic. When I think of Hammerhead, I'm almost thinking more Dick Tracy than anything. Purple Man, Purple Man looks a lot different than, of course, the Jessica Jones Netflix series, but of course that was grounded in reality versus the comic book spectaculars. I mean, he had amazing powers, so I'm curious to see what how Purple Man's powers transcribes in the game. Looking forward to that. I don't know what Typhoid Mary. I mean, she probably maybe she stuns you a lot or something or confuses you. Um, the Bullseye likes to take out your allies and your personas, so that's going to be annoying. So yeah, so an ally swarm deck is definitely not going to work for him. That one scheme we saw, the Maria recursion deck, you definitely don't want to use. So I know Tony had mentioned that he doesn't like jump blocking, so he likes to come up with scenarios that penalize you for jump blocking, and I have a feeling this one is going to be no exception to that. All right. Well, and I like this car chase. So one of my favorite Arkham Horror scenarios was it was one where they had a car chase. So I'll be curious to see how this works out. That's just something that we haven't really done in the card game is dealing with car chases, which is a big it's a big part of comics, especially like Spider-Man comics. Where he's chasing the drivers, as they're driving down the streets of New York. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe and click the notification bell. Thank you.